Hi guys, I'm Lauren Vitale, and on this episode of Learning Kitchen, I want to share with you my recipe for what I call my jelly roll ice cream bomb. Now, there are so many variations you can make, and definitely let me know if you want to see a different variation than this one. Leave it in the comments down below. But today, I want to share with you sort of it's a jelly roll that's got strawberry jam in there, and then it's going to be with strawberry ice cream and mango sorbet. It's phenomenal. It looks incredible. It couldn't be easier. You could definitely take a shortcut and buy a jelly roll already pre-made, but today I figured since I already have my ice cream and sorbet done, we make the jelly roll together. The ingredients you'll need to make the actual jelly roll are very plain and simple ones. You'll need all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, granulated sugar, some eggs that I've separated into yolks and whites, vanilla paste, or you can use vanilla extract, and some milk. The oven's preheated to 375. I also have a 15 by 10 inch baking pan here that I've lined with parchment, and you want to make sure you spray it with nonstick spray as well, because it can stick even to parchment paper, so precaution. Now I'm going to make everything in my standing mixer just because it's really easy, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to whip the egg whites. I'm going to take my egg whites and put them in my standing mixer. Make sure your standing mixer's clean, and I'm just going to whisk these until they're really light and frothy and this like a light stiff peaks, and when it's there, I'll show you what they look like. They look good. I don't need them to be too stiff. I'm actually going to switch attachment. I'm going to now take my paddle attachment to finish the rest of the batter, but first I just want to get the whites out because I don't need them until the end, but I wanted to do them first because egg whites do not whip if your bowl is dirty. So in a case like this, get the egg whites done first and then make the rest of your batter. That way you don't have to dirty up another bowl. Okay, I'm adding my egg yolks and my sugar, and now I'm going to just put on my paddle attachment. I'm going to cream those together until they're really light and pale and fluffy. It'll take a couple of minutes, but you're not doing it by hand, so let it go until it's nice pale and nice and fluffy looking. That looks excellent. I'm just going to add in a spoonful of my vanilla paste. By all means, you can use vanilla extract, but I'm going to use vanilla paste because I really want that vanilla flavor. Blend that in just for a quick second. Doesn't have to be perfect. Lower this down. Mix together my flour with the baking powder and the salt. I'm going to add that in along with my milk. And then we're going to pull this back up and then just mix it until it's all combined. And you do want this to be fairly sort of smooth, but don't overmix it, otherwise it can get a little bit tough. That is looking gorgeous, but we do have to fold in the egg whites. So I'm just going to do that with my spatula so that I don't deflate them too much. But try to get all the batter off your little beater here or your paddle attachment, as much of it as you can anyway. I love to always give everything a good stir from the sides and the bottom. And now I'm going to add in my egg whites. I'm going to do half at a time so that I don't deflate them and I can kind of work quickly. And you can see I'm folding. I take my spatula, stick it right in the middle, and then you fold over. Stick in the middle, fold over. That's such a gorgeous batter. I love that. You can see the bubbles from the egg whites. That's just going to give you really beautiful, light cake. Okay, I'm going to do my best to flatten this as even as I can manage with my spatula. Don't panic if it's not perfect, because let's face it, no one will know the difference. And I just always like to move around the pan because I think that just makes it easier. Get it as evenly as possible. Excellent. Okay, this is going to go into your preheated oven at 375 for 12 to 14 minutes, or until it's a lovely light golden color and cooked all the way through it. Since this is pretty thin, it shouldn't take that long. So I'm going to put that in, and then as soon as it comes out, I will show you the next step. My cake is completely cooked. It cooked for exactly 14 minutes, and I always just take a toothpick. You can even take a dry piece of spaghetti, stick it in the thickest part. There's no wet batter on it. It's good. Now let it cool for about 2 to 3 minutes, no longer, maybe 5. Now what I have here is a lint-free kitchen towel about the same size as the cake, and I'm going to cover this in some confectioner sugar because we need to roll this up. So you want to make sure that you sprinkle some sugar. Don't worry if it gets on your counter, it's totally fine. And now I'm going to, now I did take a knife, a butter knife, and it just releases really easily because I did butter this, greased it really, really well. And I'm going to just invert this, just like so. If it sticks, do not panic. But you see, making sure that it's really nice, whoops, and greased really helps. And then I just try to straighten it as best as I can. And now I'll roll this around this way so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. How about that? Now just, you fold literally the towel in the cake, starting from one of the shorter ends. You just roll this tightly, but not too tight. Just like that. And that will take the shape of the jelly roll. Now this has to cool completely. It can take a couple of hours, so I'm going to just place this on a cooling rack, allow it to cool completely, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now I do have my ice cream in the freezer already. I got a strawberry ice cream and I have got my mango sorbet, but I do know a great website, laureninternet.com, who has both recipes for you if you want to make them from scratch or if you want to take a shortcut and buy them at the grocery store. The choice is entirely up to you. I'm going to let this cool completely and then we'll move on to the next step. Now this was cooling for a couple of hours and now I'm going to unwrap it. And don't worry if it kind of looks wonky because that's, you know, you wanted to do that because you want it to go back into the same shape. And now what I have here is some strawberry preserves. You can use whatever preserve you like. I mean, it's totally up to you. And what I'm doing is I am just spreading a nice thin layer of this. I'm not going to go all the way up because as I roll this it will squeeze out, and as you can see there's some actual pieces of strawberries here and there, so I'm going to try and get this as even as possible, kind of concentrating with leaving a cup about an inch or so from all sides open because again when this gets rolled it does kind of squidge out, which is totally fine, but I don't want to overdo it. This looks good enough. I don't want it to be too thick. I'd say that looks perfect to me. You could use a spatula, but clearly a spoon works really, really well. And now I'm going to just roll this back up. This time you're not going to roll the kitchen towel in it. Going to roll it just like that. Perfect. And now I'm going to put this, see it squidges out a little tiny bit. We didn't put too much, so that should be good. Okay, I'm going to place this here. I'm going to just wrap this with some plastic wrap, just a little bit because I don't want this to get sort of hard, and I'm going to pop it into the fridge for around a half hour or until it's, you know, kind of set and hold its shape, and then we will get ready to start building our bombe, ice cream bombe. My jelly roll was in the fridge for about an hour. Now let me show you what I have here. I have a large bowl, and don't worry about the dimensions and the measurements and everything because I will write everything in detail on, in the recipe, and it will be on laureninthekitchen.com. And I've taken a bowl and I've lined it well with some plastic wrap, and you want to make sure that the plastic wrap is overhanging. I have a smaller bowl, which I'll show you what I'm going to do with it later. I have got some strawberry ice cream. I've left it out at room temperature for about 15 minutes, I said. You want this to be a little soft and easy for you to work with. And then I also have an orange, some orange juice. I just took an orange and squeezed it. Okay, let's get going. Using a serrated knife, I am going to cut slices of my jelly roll. Now, I'm not going to cut them too thick. Actually, probably would it be better if I just use this? No, I wouldn't. I'm going to just cut my slices, not too thick, not too thin, about, I would say, about a half an inch thick, or maybe a little bit less than that. Now I'm just taking slices of my jelly roll, and if you need to tighten them up a little bit, you can. I really do not do this in any particular order. I don't worry about things looking perfect because the end result is just so delightful that it does not matter. And you just want to make sure that you cover the sides and the bottom of your bowl. You can cut them to fit too, totally fine. Just like taking a little bit of my orange juice and just drizzling it on the cake. It keeps it a little bit more moist, and sometimes, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, depending on who I'm making this for, depending on the time of year, sometimes I do a little Grand Marnier, sometimes if I'm doing a cherry base, I do a little cherry brandy, doesn't matter. But today, I'm using orange juice. Okay, the ice cream should be softened enough at this point because you do need to be able to maneuver this around, and that is looking good. And if it peeks through the little hole, then that's fine. I just do like that. And then you kind of push it on the sides, just like so. Trying to get it as even as you can. And I'll show you what we're gonna do with that bowl in just a minute, because the center is going to be where we put our mango sorbet, but not just yet. Otherwise, everything would kind of blend all together. So I'm just going to do this as even as possible, as quickly as possible, because I don't want the ice cream to melt too quickly. And then I take my bowl. That's why I make sure it's a clean bowl, and you want to make sure that it's just fits perfect. And I'm going to do it just like that. Sorry if I'm moving a little fast, but we're dealing with ice cream. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap the sides like this. Pop this into the freezer for about an hour or so, or until the strawberry ice cream is fully frozen again, and then we'll get going with the last final layer. Now I actually popped this into the freezer overnight. I had a hair appointment. What can I say? Girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do. And it's also even better because that way you can completely forget about it and it gets nice and frozen. Now a quick tip. When you have your bowl in there, it's going to be quite frozen. So what I do is I take a kitchen towel and I sort of run it under hot water, and then set my kitchen towel in the bowl for a couple minutes until it kind of starts to thaw the ice cream right around the bowl just a little bit, and then it comes out super easy and simple. Now what I have here is some mango sorbet, and it's at room temperature. Well, not room temperature. I left it out at room temperature for a bit because I want this to be really nice and smooth and pliable. Now that I've removed the bowl, I'm going to fill this with my mango sorbet. That looks really lovely. I'm going to save that for myself. I'm going to cover this back up with my plastic wrap because you want to make sure it's nice and covered. I'm actually going to take this little plate and just sort of squeeze everything together. Now, I'm gonna pop this back into the freezer for several hours. The mango sorbet needs to be completely frozen. It could take up to a couple of hours, and then it will be time to unveil this beauty. So once everything is frozen, it's solid, it's good to go. Now what I've done, I've just taken a small paring knife and just gone around the edges and just kind of sliced them so that it was just almost one flat layer. That way it holds better. It doesn't wobble as much when you try to cut it, but don't throw them away. Cook's treat. You always have to have one of those, the best part of the job. And then you're ready to serve it. It's very simple. Now what I have here is my platter. This is just a cake stand, a round cake stand. I'm going to flip this around. Now we have plastic wrap, so that really helps make the job a lot easier. I'm just going to take my chef's knife and I'm kind of dunking it into warm water. Now I'm drying it off on a clean kitchen towel, and it'll go in really easy. And that makes for a really nice clean. Now this is a really big slice because mainly I want to show you how beautiful this is on the outside. I mean, the outside is just gorgeous, and the inside is going to be even prettier. So I'm going to take that. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? Now, what you can do, you can also make this multiple layers. So instead of doing 2 layers of ice cream like I did, you could do cherry ice cream, chocolate, and just do a bunch of different layers. That'll be really fun. But I like this combination because I think the jelly roll with the strawberry jam and then the strawberry ice cream, which is so creamy and delicious, with the mango sorbet, I think it's absolute magic. I'm going to give this a try. That looks beautiful. Let's give this a go. I'm going to have to hold it on just a little bit because it's a really big piece. Yeah, I want that right there. And a little bit of everything. I was going to do this because I'm so used to it. Very cold though. That is awesome. It's got like everything you could possibly want. It's really cold though. Oh, that's really cold. It has everything you could possibly want. A beautiful sweet sponge cake, a little sweetness from the jam. The combination of the strawberry and the mango is like a match made in food heaven. And it really couldn't be easier. You can make this way ahead of time if you do have a dinner party you want to make this for. It's perfect for summer. Hope you enjoy spending time with me. Go to laurainthekitchen.com for the written recipe. Let me know if you have a specific combination of flavors you like with your ice cream bomb, because I would love to try new combinations. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.